It was a quiet Saturday evening in Devon. A 14-year-old girl took her dog for a walk and never came home. What happened to Kate Bushell remains one of England's most haunting mysteries, and nearly 30 years later, the killer has never been caught. In November 1997, in a peaceful town in Devon, a young schoolgirl named Kate Bushell set out on her usual dog walk. She was only 14 years old, bright, full of life, and had her future ahead of her. But within hours, Kate was found brutally murdered just a short distance from her home. Despite years of investigation, countless interviews, and renewed police appeals, the case remains unsolved. Today, we'll take you deep into the story of Kate Bushell, her life, the day she disappeared, the shocking discovery of her body, and the unanswered questions that still haunt her family and community. Who was Kate Bushell? Kate Bushell was a bright young girl who lived in Devon, England. She was born in 1983, and by the time this story begins, she was only 14 years old. Kate was the kind of child who brought light into every room she entered. Her friends described her as cheerful, caring, and full of energy. Her teachers saw her as smart and hardworking, with a future that looked very promising. Kate lived with her parents in a quiet home. She was very close to them. She was also close to her older brother, and she loved her family very much. To them, Kate was not just a daughter or sister, she was the heart of the family, the one who always smiled and lifted everyone's spirit. At school, Kate did well in her studies. She enjoyed learning and wanted to do great things in the future. Some of her favorite subjects were music and English. She also had a kind and gentle soul. People say she was the type of person who would go out of her way to help a friend in need, even if it meant giving up her own time. But Kate was not just about books and school. She had a fun side too. She liked going out with her friends, listening to music, and taking walks. She especially loved animals. Her dog was one of her closest companions. Walking her dog around the neighborhood was something Kate enjoyed often. It gave her a chance to be outside, enjoy the fresh air, and spend time with her pet. Kate was also growing into her teenage years. Like many girls her age, she was curious about the world, about friendships, and about the future. She was learning more about herself each day and starting to dream about what life as an adult might be like. Would she go to university? Would she become a teacher, a doctor, or maybe even something else? The truth is, Kate had many choices ahead of her, because she was talented and bright. Her friends loved being around her because she made people feel special. If you were upset, Kate would notice and try to cheer you up. If you had a secret, you could trust her to keep it safe. Her laughter was something people remembered, soft, warm, and full of life. But most of all, Kate was just a regular girl with a big heart. She was like many other 14-year-olds, full of dreams, full of hope, and with so much left to experience. She had not yet had the chance to see the world, to travel, to grow older, to fall in love, or to build a career. Her parents often said she was their shining star. In every picture of her, you can see her smile, the smile of someone who believed life was beautiful and that tomorrow would always be bright. And that is what makes her story so sad. Kate was taken from this world far too early. She never got the chance to grow up, to live the life she deserved. She never got to finish school, follow her dreams, or build her own family one day. Even though Kate's life was short, it left a mark. People who knew her never forgot her kindness, her energy, and her love for life. She is remembered not for the way she died, but for the way she lived, with laughter, with love, and with hope. Kate's story reminds us of how precious life is. She was just like many of us, young, innocent, with a future waiting ahead. And while her story turned into a mystery that still has no answers, the memory of her as a happy, caring girl will always stay alive in the hearts of those who loved her. What happened the day Kate went missing? It was Saturday, November 15, 1997, in Devon, England. The day began like many other weekends for 14-year-old Kate Bushell. The air was chilly, the autumn leaves were falling, and the town was peaceful. Nothing seemed unusual at first. That morning, Kate spent time at home with her family. She chatted with her parents, enjoyed the comfort of her house, and played with her dog. It was just an ordinary day in the life of a teenage girl. There was no sign that anything dark was waiting ahead. As the afternoon moved on, Kate decided to do something she often did: take her dog out for a walk. Walking her dog was one of her favorite activities. It gave her a chance to breathe fresh air, enjoy the quiet paths near her home, and spend time with her furry friend. Her family thought nothing of it. It was something Kate had done many times before. At around 4:30 in the afternoon, Kate left home with her dog. She wore her bright orange fleece jacket, a piece of clothing that would later be remembered by many. She followed her usual route, heading toward a field near Exeter, a place where she and her dog often walked. The path Kate chose was quiet and open, surrounded by hedges and countryside. Normally, it was a safe place where people could walk without worry. But that day, something different happened, something no one expected. As Kate walked along the path, people in the area noticed her. Several witnesses later told police they saw a teenage girl walking her dog. They remembered her because of her bright orange jacket. Some even said they noticed a strange man nearby, someone they didn't recognize, hanging around the area. At the time, no one thought much of it. After all, it was just a girl walking her dog in the early evening. But as the minutes turned into hours, Kate didn't come back home. Her parents began to worry. Usually, Kate's dog walks didn't take very long. She loved the fresh air, but she also liked being home with her family. That night, as the sky grew darker and Kate's place at the dinner table stayed empty, her parents felt that something was wrong. By early evening, the worry turned into fear. Kate was missing. Her parents started searching, calling her name, hoping she would come running back with her dog by her side. But there was no answer. The local community quickly got involved. Neighbors joined in, helping the family search the nearby fields and paths. Police were called, and they began to look for any sign of the missing 14-year-old. What made the worry even heavier was Kate's age. She was just a young teenager, and this wasn't like her. She wasn't the type to run away or disappear. Something had happened, and deep down, her parents feared it was something terrible. That night, the countryside that usually felt calm and safe was filled with flashing police lights and the sound of voices calling out Kate's name. Dogs barked, officers searched, and families stood outside their homes with heavy hearts. But no matter how hard they searched, Kate didn't come home that night. She had vanished during what should have been a simple, harmless walk with her dog. What began as a normal Saturday had turned into the darkest day the Bushell family would ever face. A day that started with smiles and ordinary routines ended in fear, confusion, and heartbreak. And from that evening on, the question remained: what happened to Kate Bushell during her walk? How Kate's body was discovered. The night of November 15, 1997 was long and filled with fear. Kate's family, neighbors, and police officers searched everywhere, hoping she would appear. They checked the paths, called her name again and again, and used torches to light up the darkness. But Kate did not return home. By the next day, Sunday morning, the search became even bigger. More police officers joined, along with trained dogs and volunteers from the community. People who didn't even know Kate came out to help, because the idea of a missing 14-year-old girl in their quiet town shook everyone to the core. Then, in the afternoon of November 16th, the search ended in the saddest way possible. At around 4 p.m., Kate's body was found in a field near Exeter, only a short distance from where she had set out on her walk. She was lying on the ground, not far from a hedge. Her bright orange jacket, the one everyone had remembered seeing, made her easier to find. It was a sight no one wanted to see. Police quickly sealed off the area. This was no accident. It was clear Kate had been the victim of a brutal crime. Her throat had been cut in what detectives later described as a frenzied and violent attack. She had not been robbed, and nothing important of hers was taken. The attack seemed sudden, savage, and without mercy. Close by, her dog was found alive but distressed. The poor animal had stayed near the area, a silent witness to what had happened. Some people believed the dog might have barked or struggled during the attack, but sadly, he could not protect Kate. Investigators studied the scene carefully. They looked for footprints, fingerprints, fibers, or anything that might point to the killer. Witnesses later recalled seeing a suspicious man in the area earlier that day, someone with a scruffy appearance, perhaps in his 20s or 30s, with dark hair. But at the scene itself, hard evidence was thin. One detail stood out, though. Police found traces of blue fibers on Kate's clothing. This became an important clue. Detectives believed the fibers might have come from the attacker's clothing, perhaps a blue jacket or trousers. They tested them against thousands of samples over the years, but they never found a perfect match. The discovery of Kate's body shocked not just her family but the whole of Devon. People couldn't believe that in such a quiet, safe community, a schoolgirl could be murdered so violently on a simple dog walk. Parents began holding their children closer. Families locked their doors earlier in the evenings. Trust was broken. Forensic teams worked day and night at the crime scene. They collected soil samples, studied the path Kate had walked, and interviewed anyone who might have been nearby that afternoon. But despite all their efforts, the evidence was frustratingly limited. There was no murder weapon recovered, no clear DNA match, and no direct witness to the attack itself. Kate's family, meanwhile, was left in deep grief. Their daughter, who had been smiling and laughing just a day earlier, was now gone forever. And the hardest part for them was not just the loss, but the terrible fact that someone out there had done this, and had gotten away. By the end of that Sunday, the mystery of Kate Bushell's disappearance had turned into a murder investigation. Police promised to find the killer. They told the public they would leave no stone unturned. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the trail grew colder. Still, the memory of that field, of the bright orange jacket lying among the grass, and of a young girl's life cut short, has never left the minds of those who searched for her. It became one of Devon's most heartbreaking and haunting cases, a mystery that remains unsolved even today. After Kate's body was found, the police worked very hard to find out who had hurt her. They knew someone must have done this terrible thing, but the question was, who? Many people in the town gave statements. Some said they saw strange people near the field where Kate was walking her dog. Others remembered seeing odd cars parked by the road that day. But no one could say for sure who the person was. One witness told the police that he saw a man standing on the field's edge just before Kate disappeared. He was described as looking rough, with scruffy clothes and wild hair. But the man left quickly, and no one knew his name. Police searched everywhere, but he was never found. Another person said they saw a white van in the area. Some people believed that whoever was in that van might know what happened. Police checked hundreds of vans, but still, no clear answers came out. The police also looked closely at people who lived near Kate's home. Sometimes in cases like this, the person responsible is someone from nearby. But again, they couldn't find enough proof. There were even theories that a stranger had been watching Kate for days before that walk. Some said maybe it was a traveler passing through. Others thought maybe it was someone local hiding a dark secret. Sadly, every lead went cold. Police would follow a clue, only to find it led nowhere. Even with hundreds of officers, dogs, and helicopters searching, no one was caught. Years later, the case was still unsolved. People in Devon always remembered the image of that little girl, Kate, and her dog, who never came back home. It made parents hold their children closer and made everyone in town feel less safe. The biggest mystery was, who was that man people saw? Why did no one ever come forward to say they saw the attack? And how could someone do such a thing and then disappear like a shadow? This is why Kate's case is called an unsolved true crime. Because even though so many people tried, the truth about who took her life is still hidden. Even though so many years have passed since Kate was taken away, the case is still unsolved. But why? The truth is, there just wasn't enough clear proof. The man seen near the field was never found. The white van that people talked about was checked, but it didn't lead to the person who did it. And even though police spoke to hundreds of people, nobody had the one piece of information that could solve the puzzle. Back in 1997, Technology was not as strong as it is today. Police didn't have all the DNA tools and cameras we have now. That made it much harder to catch someone who was careful to hide. Another reason is that the person who did this might have been a stranger just passing through. If they weren't from Devon, they could have left quickly, making it almost impossible to find them. But even with these challenges, the police never gave up. Over the years, they kept looking back at the case. They reopened files, searched through old evidence, and even tested items again with new DNA technology. Every time the anniversary of Kate's death comes, police make new appeals. They speak to the public, asking, "Please, if you know something, if you remember anything, come forward." No matter how small it seems, it could be the missing piece. They also believe that someone out there does know the truth. Maybe they have kept the secret for years. Maybe they are afraid to speak. The police continue to hope that one day, someone will find the courage to share what they know. Today, the case of Kate Bushell is still open. Detectives call it a cold case, but that doesn't mean it's forgotten. It means it is waiting for that one clue, that one voice, or that one piece of science that will finally give Kate and her family justice. Kate's story reminds everyone that sometimes, even the smallest detail can change everything. And that is why the police never closed the door on her case. Kate Bushell's story is more than just a case file. It is the story of a bright, kind 14-year-old girl who never came home from walking her dog. It is the story of a family left broken, a town left scared, and a mystery that still has no answer. Every year, her parents and her brother think about what could have been. They imagine Kate growing up, chasing her dreams, laughing with friends, maybe even starting a family of her own. But all of that was taken away in one cruel moment. That is the hardest part of unsolved mysteries. They leave behind questions that never stop hurting. The people of Devon still remember Kate. Her case has been on the news many times, and each time, people hope that maybe this will be the year someone speaks up. But the silence continues, and the pain stays. Unsolved mysteries like this are like open wounds. They remind us how fragile life is, and how unfair it can be when justice is never found. Someone out there knows the truth. Someone has the answer. But until they come forward, the mystery of who took Kate's life will remain. Now, the question is for you, the viewer. What do you think happened to Kate that evening? Was it the strange man seen near the field? Was it someone in the van? Or was it a person no one has ever suspected? Your thoughts matter, because sometimes, talking about these stories keeps them alive, and maybe one day, that could help bring justice. Kate's case is not just history. It is a reminder that behind every mystery, there is a real person, a real family, and a hole that can never be filled.